last question or two. So, all right. All right, so this is part two.
Funny,
we
yeah.
we just got cut off a last little bit of Peter's question. I don't know what happened necessarily, but um, yeah, I mean, yeah, Peter just ended up saying, "Hey, you can see it really clearly, the resurrection power of Christ in the Apostle Paul, and now that death has been defeated, you see that spirit of confidence and faith carrying people, right into the same kind of to go follow Jesus in that same sort of path where we're not fleeing naked, but we're standing strong. And we're going to go right to the end, right through death, right to the end, because he's already defeated. We've seen a new and living way. And we read that verse by the gospel, he has destroyed death and brought life and immortality to light through the gospel. And the last kind of the way that we ended the message there was just saying, how does the gospel show in all of its different stages that God has not abandoned us? At creation, he made us. So that's love, and he's with us, and he walks with Adam and Eve in the cool of the garden. Like he's very present with, and at the fall, he could have abandoned us, but he didn't. He made all these promises, and he shows through all the Old Testament, despite unfaithfulness on behalf of those who he is called to follow him, he still is faithful, and he still is for them, even though there's some challenges in that relationship. And I think through the incarnation at Christmas, God became a man. Jesus came as a human being, and then he lived his life loving and serving, and then in his death he shows us that he's for us, and then in his resurrection, he's for us, and he's ruling and reigning right now. He's ascended to heaven, and he's for us. He sent the Spirit to be with us, to empower us so that we can live great lives and accomplish great things, by his standards. And all that to say, one of the questions in the Connect card was like, how have you experienced that Christ is for you, that he has not abandoned you? And maybe that's one of the questions that I'll ask you too, just real quick.
Oh man, where do you start, right? Probably the easiest way to answer that is I think of what my life would be like if Christ did not intercept me 30 something odd years ago. It was about 35 years ago that Christ came into my life. And I shudder to think what my life would be like. I think about some of my peers. I think about, some of my choices back then.
Yeah.
And, playing some of those tapes out to its completion. And I'd be like, I would not be where I am today. And I don't mean that, economically or location wise. I mean like actual like personal peace, joy, gratitude, and just yeah, like I think about my family. Like I would not have the family I have today. I would not have the peace I have today if Christ didn't intercept my life 35 years ago. And it's, that's probably the easiest way to answer that question. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I know what I would have been like because I have seen that in some of my peers. And so it actually makes me shudder to think that, and so thankful that God actually intercepted my life at that point.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, I appreciate that, Peter. Were there any, other thoughts that you had from the message? Anything you wanted to address or bring up?
Nothing really serious. I was just going to sit there and think, I loved your analogy around or the analogy or the connection around the linen garment. Like it's very, very clear that this is burial, and it connects with Jesus. Absolutely. But also, a linen garment in those days was a very costly garment.
Yeah.
And so I was just going to ask you something silly and say, what's your favorite piece of clothing? And what would you like terribly not want to lose? Like, there's no way I want to lose that.
Well, I got this toque here. It's a toque that dual color. It's a toque that my wife got me for one of my birthdays or for Christmas. Which was it? From Wayne and Carrie Reichelt. It was one of their last alpaca products that they had, alpaca wool toque from that venture of theirs. And I dearly loved it. It's a decent fit. I'll put it on over top of my earbuds here. Now it looks like a helmet. But I loved it. It was great. Comfy toque, super warm, had a nice kind of style to it. And then I lost it. I couldn't find it. We went camping, and I was at Boot Lake and went swimming, and I couldn't find it after swimming. And I went back to the beach shore, and I thought it was gone. And I ended up my wife found a similar one at the farmer's market in town. But I kind of mourned this one, especially because it's got a personal connection with some good friends of mine. Wayne and Carrie, just awesome. And so I was mourning it, and about a couple months ago, so this is like a year and a half almost, and a couple months ago, I stopped by my nephew's place and opened the door, and it was there was this toque just sitting off to the side, and there it was, and I felt so happy because of this personal connection, especially my wife gave it to me as a gift, and this personal connection to some of my friends who made it, and so I was really thankful to get it back. And it's not, I don't know if it's my favorite. I've got this sweater I really love. I got a Wannakomi sweater. I got some some fleece-lined jeans that I really love in winter. But this is I had this right in front of me, and this is amongst the top kind of pieces that I really appreciate. So I was really happy to have that back. But I would leave it behind for Jesus.
All right.
But it was Peter, it was James. Eusebius said James wore a linen garment all his life, in a reminder of this incident. So maybe I just need to wear this the rest of my life to remember Jesus too.
Well, I can say someone that has an office a couple of doors down from you wear it quite often. So
yeah, I don't have as much up here to keep it. Gotta look good, gotta feel warm. So, what's up for next week? We're halfway to another Lord's Day message and Lord's Day preaching. So what's coming up?
So we're looking back at the Garden of Gethsemane and the fact that Jesus prays, let this cup, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me. Not what I will, but what you will. And so we're going to look at that to take a little bit of a deep dive into it. As far as I understand it, this is pretty much the only time that Jesus seems unraveled, right?
Mm-hmm.
When what I mean by that, he's practically unflappable, right? The religious leaders come and they drill him with the thing and try to trap him and do Jesus is just unflappable until this moment. And so we really want to take a look at what makes this moment so distressing for Jesus. Yeah. So that's what's going to happen this coming week.
Yeah, I need to think about that. The humanity that's on display there, as he considers what it means to be the human sin bearer, and I think you see his divinity and how resolute he is with all that. It's a remarkable picture, and something that I think almost strains our imagination to put ourselves in his shoes. He's so unique in this way. You really see it there. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, in light of that message coming up, and then also this one of the final reflections I had from the message was that, we can kind of understand why they fled, why they left him, why Jesus was abandoned. How much, and it was kind of sad then, but God used it in this really remarkable way to show us just how unique Jesus is, and how in him truly we have victory over death, in him alone. But now that he's alive, resurrected, ascended to heaven, and that he's been through death, you know, how much more important is it that we not abandon him again, that Jesus is not abandoned anymore? He's proven himself. He's exposed death. He truly has answered every question about whether he is for us. And it's a kind of a sobering reminder to think of the ways that we can abandon Jesus, but let's all be careful that we're encouraging one another so that we don't do that in any sort of permanent sense, because it happens. You know, it happens that Jesus is still abandoned today, and I think that's perhaps the worst tragedy of all. And so let's remain faithful and continue to encourage one another. And for me and you, Peter, but also for everyone who's watching this, one of the last verses we ended on was, let us encourage each other daily so that none of us is hardened by the deceitfulness of sin, that we don't get tricked into thinking God is against us or not for us, because he's for us in every possible conceivable way. So let's be for Jesus as fully as we can. And yeah, with that thought, let's wrap it up here. God bless you guys for coming along, for living in the scriptures. And we hope that, hope that you experience the presence of Christ in your life as you think about these things. God bless you, and we'll see you on Sunday if you're with us.
Blessings. Thanks.